Hello everyone, welcome to Kings Talk presented by Captain Crown. This is Tony. With me, as always, we've got John. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's finally October. Media Day happened yesterday. The first preseason game is on Saturday. Kings basketball is closer than ever. And man, I'm excited for it. John?
Well, I know that that's all fine and dandy. That's all nice to get excited about. But considering people are here for us and not the Kings, I think the big thing to commemorate here is the fact that we're on episode 69, which is a milestone for reasons that speak for themselves.
Yes.
That's a good episode to be on, to start the season on.
Yeah.
So if you ever wonder, like, oh, how do I listen to Kings Talk? And I just want to listen about the 2023-2024 season, you start with 69.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's right. We're going to get this video kicked off of YouTube starting out that way, but here we are. Media Day. Anything stand out to you off the bat?
Anything stand out to me? No.
Yeah. Media Day is always a little dry.
Media Day, okay. Let me say something that stands off the bat. Or
we can talk shit about Media Day first.
Yeah, let's do it. It's just how, like, it's not that impressive. It's just like, okay, let's ask some questions. Let's have some generic responses. Like, I don't know. I don't find it that exciting. At least the interviews. I'm not sure how many of you actually watch the interviews. And, like, some of them are actually not too bad. But some are just, like, just generic question, generic answer. Like, I'm not, this doesn't really get me excited. It's more the sense like, oh, it's media day. That means training camps in a couple of days. That means preseason's even, it's close as well. So, I mean, that's what kind of media day,
it represents something.
Represents that. But
in itself,
it's pretty boring. You have, guys dribbling between their legs, getting photos taken of them. The most generic photos every year.
Journalists asking questions, repeating words like continuity, in and out. A lot of in and out questions.
A lot of.
You haven't in and out yet, Sasha Vezenkov, huh? It's really good for you.
So yeah. And how's that Warriors series affect you going into this year?
Do you still have nightmares about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no. I think what Kevin Huerter says. Like, I don't have like a poster on my wall about it. Like, no. Kevin Huerter is a great embodiment of just like how players should be. Just like focused on the here and now and just kind of giving a nice smirk when someone asks a silly question, which everybody's bound to do.
Yeah. But, I mean, it is media day, and as much as, as unexciting as it is, the actual material, as it can be, we're here to talk about it.
We are. And I think the thing that stands out the most is the news that Kevin Huerter himself broke, and it got talked about. And I think Fox gave a little more specific details about it. But Sasha Vezenkov has been impressing people at pickup games and at practices and whatnot. In fact, he broke a shooting drill record. I think Fox said he missed 7 out of 150 shots. And we're bad at math if you've listened to the podcast before. But I do believe I've double-checked with the calculator. If Fox is indeed correct, that would be 143 out of 150 made.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, I'm assuming they're three-pointers.
Yes.
Which would be crazy in itself. I mean, just jump shots in general would be crazy. But, as I was saying earlier, behind the scenes, they're probably just layups.
He just starts at the three-point line.
Yeah.
He just said the one
he
rule
misses
was
7 straight. He's like, all right.
I'm just going right up to the basket.
Yeah, exactly. But no, everyone's hailing his shooting. I mean, they didn't. I'm assuming they're 3-point shots that they said he made 143 out of 150 from. It's incredible. I mean, everyone is just praising it, and I mean that's kind of like the hype that was Sasha Vezenkov, and it seems like he's in SAC now, and he's. I mean, it's definitely not in a game yet or anything, but it sounds like it's translating in the States.
Yeah.
To this point.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I think you think about this team, there's Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray, Malik Monk. There's all sorts of very good shooters on it. And I thought it was telling them Domas Sabonis was like, yeah, Zenkov's probably the best shooter on the team.
Yeah, which is crazy considering you have Huerter and Murray.
Yeah. And it's just like you hear Fox talk about it, he gets locked in and it just gets to a zone where it's like the net's not even moving.
Yeah, he was like, Fox was on it.
Yeah.
Just like, dude.
And obviously, it's not just about the shooting. I don't remember who it was, but someone said like his defense looks pretty good in practice. Doesn't look bad. Because that's obviously a question that we and a lot of other people had about it. And you ask Vezenkov about it, he's like, it's a challenge. It's going to be one of those kind of like things that will have to get better. But to hear from his teammates that there's a baseline there that looks pretty good. That starts eliminating concerns and questions that you're going to have for any player that's coming over from overseas. But I don't know, man. Vezenkov sounds like everything is just going in the right direction the way it should be. And some people anticipated that. Maybe that's optimistic, but when you're hearing it from his teammates, it's nice. And it's not like it's coming from Mike Brown, who's like, he'll say something nice about someone and you're like, okay, kind of puffing that up a little.
Yeah. No, I mean, we got not the craziest pickups this year, but for guys who are new to the team, like McGee and Duarte, and I don't even know, even I guess a rookie like Colby Jones. I mean, who's not excited for Sasha? You know, I'm especially seen his highlights, and I'm sad to say it's all I've seen of his really are his highlights because I've never watched him in a game. But man. From what I've seen in his highlights, it's impressive, and it sounds like he's kind of backing that up already. So I'm really, really just ready for that preseason game too. To see him shoot there and like how they're going to use him too. Because they did ask him, it's like, hey, what's your role going to be? And he's like, I don't know. Like I'm ready for anything. And I think we all kind of know what his role is going to be. Stretch four kind of guy. Maybe more so what Murray was doing last year, I think. But I mean, if he can hit what Murray and Herter were doing last year, 40%.
Off those DHOs. They asked Domas about that, and it's just like, I was like thinking about that. I'm like, that height, that high shooting release, and quick, man, that might be the most dangerous one.
Yeah. He's a good rebounder too. He led EuroLeague in rebounding.
Yeah, I watched a few of the playoff games for Olympiacos and a few other games, but he is like the type of guy too where it's just like you can tell he's a leader out there, and it's just crazy. You don't even have to see him shoot a shot. I think I was watching a game where I think he may have made 1-3, and I don't even think he got a lot of attempts off because these, like on inbounds plays, there's like 3 guys revolving around him. There's so much focus on how good of a shooter he is, and it's just like you start thinking about spacing and whatnot. Obviously, you combine him with guys like Murray and Herter on the floor, and you know that's gonna be a handful.
Yeah,
involved, and you get that rebounding, that IQ, which definitely translated in watching some of the games that I did, because the shooting wasn't in the games that I watched. They were really trying to limit Vezenkov on outside shots and whatnot, but it's just like the way he can impact the game is it's well-rounded.
Yeah.
And I think everybody was excited about Vezenkov, but you just kind of hear these rave reviews from his teammates, from his guys, and again, and the other thing that's just like you saw it at the introductory press conference, and we saw it in his interview today. He's just down to earth. He just seems like he's got such a good head on his shoulders. He's ready for anything. He was the best player on his continent, and he's coming here. He's like, I'm ready for anything. Okay.
Yeah, 2 years in a row, right? He's back-to-back EuroLeague MVP.
I think he was EuroLeague MVP this year, and then he was back-to-back Greek League MVP.
Greek League, okay.
GBL, baby.
You're right. Which is, still awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to have him over here. I think we all are.
Oh, yeah, I know. With the Metu jersey that you have, you're going to have to put tape over the back and put Vezenkov.
Is he number 7?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. It's when I was like doing my
the Photoshop.
My jersey swaps, I definitely used Metu's jersey. So I'm glad it worked out.
It's nice.
I called it. So Cap City Crown reported it first.
Mm-hmm. In a uniform he'll never wear, because it was like
the gray, because now it's all the new ones. Okay.
Well, if you want to look at Sasha Vezenkov in the gray uniform,
the gray cities, and if you also want to see the new City Edition leaks, check out our Instagram page at Sack Kingstalk. You'll see the new City Editions for this year, kind of like the old Royals uniforms, but not too much on that.
Yeah, you should contact Trey Lyles. Try to get in on that book club.
Yeah, Trey Lyles starting a book club. I mean, I don't read, but shoot, I might start to be.
The only thing Tony reads is my articles.
Yeah,
he's like, "This is bad. You got to rewrite this."
Hey, dude, can you come into my office?
I drive 3 hours to come to
But another guy I'm kind of excited about, and I've already kind of mentioned, who was kind of funny at Media Day was JaVale McGee.
Yeah, it was enjoyable to watch him.
It was, and I was kind of skeptical, and I think we were a little skeptical of how the Kings brought in McGee, and then just like, all right, McGee's our guy, see you Keita, see you Noel, without even seeing them in training camp. And I mean, it was only a Media Day interview, but he kind of, like, it seems like he brings in that veteran presence. This is something we lost in Dellavedova. I mean, he's our oldest player on our team now. In front of Barnes by probably, 5 years? I think Barnes is 30,
Barnes 30 going on 31.
Yeah.
And then 35 going on 36 for McGee.
Yeah, so he just seems like he's here. I mean, I don't think he would be here unless the Kings made the playoffs last year, but I mean, that's what winning does, you know? Even though McGee's not like that biggest player anymore, but I mean, he's been around. 3 championships isn't nothing. You know, he's been around the block, and he's definitely a winner in his time in the league so far, so I mean, I'm not expecting big things from McGee this year, but he even said it. He's like, I have a habit of bringing teams together. It's not like the Kings need that, but I mean, a good veteran in the locker room and who can actually probably play productive minutes off the bench. Like, I'm kind of excited for him now.
Yeah, he was just cool. That's all it was.
Yeah.
He just came off as very cool and collected, and it's one of those things where the concerns and the questions about the whole center thing and the backup competition getting scrapped and whatnot, that's never been a condemnation of McGee. It's more of just like, the Kings going about this the right way. And you do kind of get that first exposure to McGee, and he's just going in there, and he's a guy that's going to come in, do his work, do things for the team, both on and off the floor. I mean, whatever happens, it's going to be just one of those things where it's like, this guy is a nice addition. And listening to him talk and listening to things and kind of being reminded of the guy he is, and in the locker room, on the bench, on the floor and whatnot, it's like he does offer a lot of things that Nerlens Noel could never dream of offering.
Yeah.
And so he really kind of, it's not like he took the heat off himself, because I mean, like, McGee, we kind of know what we're going to see out of McGee for the most part. I mean, it'll be a little interesting with a different defensive scheme as opposed to what he was used to, or not used to, but what they were doing in Dallas under Jason Kidd last season. I don't know. I mean, it's good to see him kind of come off and just be like, you know, Jason Anderson's asking him a question. He's like, I'm not sure I understand that question.
Yeah.
Just like, he brings a very good presence to the team, and people keep talking about like how confident they are this year and whatnot. And it's just like, to have that kind of bookend steadying force, it's nice. And to see it, to really experience it yourself.
Yeah, for the first time.
And keep it on JaVale there. I mean, Davion Mitchell said an interesting thing. He was like, well, JaVale adds something to the team, not just in what he'll be able to do potentially as a backup center, or not just what he can do as a championship guy, a motivator, but think about what he does in practice. You know, you have him going up against, you know, Sabonis in practice, and that's going to make Sabonis better. He's got a little bit more of an agile center that has terrific size, can rebound and block, and all this stuff. You'll have to deal with that. And he kind of noted that, obviously it's not to the same degree, like having Fox be guarded by Mitchell and having Mitchell have to guard Fox, that's like clearly like two things rubbing up against each other and sharpening each other to a degree that's like probably stronger than any other like positional matchup on the team. But to hear that point, and I don't think it was shade at Alex Len or anything like that, but to add that kind of element, because you think about it, you had Alex Len, Rashawn Holmes, and Chimezie Metu going up against Sabonis in practice. You had one guy in Alex Len that was probably playing motivated and playing a position that he actually should be playing. Because I don't know if Holmes was all the way there mentally, and I don't think Chimezie Metu is really a 5.
Yeah.
So it's like, not only is McGee, again, doing stuff on the floor, doing stuff in terms of, you know, intangibles with his teammates, but it's like, to hear that it's like, well, that's making Domas better. That gives him new challenges to kind of deal with.
Yeah.
That's going to open up all sorts of different things.
And building off that, something Mitchell said was that, like, McGee has played meaningful minutes in this league during his career so far, and he's like, he's played against the Jokic's. I'm pretty sure he said Jokic and just other NBA centers, and he can kind of teach Domas too. It's like, hey, like, in practice when he's guarding him, it's like, hey, like, this move didn't work, but guess what? Like, Jokic used this move against me. It worked on me. Like, probably work against other people too.
Yeah.
Instead of spinning left, spin right on this. I don't know.
No,
so
definitely.
Just coaching like that. Just like he's been around. He's seen it all.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's almost just like Dellavedova was like a player coach.
Yeah.
But like that's not the same position. That's not. He's not even. He'd been out of the league for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's like McGee really is kind of a. He's almost like a player coach as well, but it's like a specific player coach.
Yeah.
It's like, that's my running backs coach. I'm a running back, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's nice. You're really going to get great insight from him. So, I mean, McGee almost walking away from this media day. Aside from Sean Cunningham, I think McGee was the star.
Yeah, I would say so. Sean Cunningham's just very thought-provoking questions.
I call them the zingers. That's the question. But we wouldn't have found out about the book club if Cunningham wasn't paying attention to that. So
yeah, I mean,
Cunningham is an online guy.
He's very cunning.
He's a very online man. He's cunning, and then the ham gets thrusted in there somehow. I can only wonder how. God, I don't think he's gonna listen to this. Another thing that was kind of brought up a lot, or maybe not brought up a lot, but something that surfaced, something that stood out, not only in his interview, not only in Mike Brown's interview, but just, I think Lyles was talking about it, maybe even Barnes, just like Fox's leadership. We already know that he's kind of the leader of this team, and we're expecting him to do stuff this year. We were talking about MVP type conversation last week, but maybe the real question is just like his improvement as a leader. Being more vocal and whatnot. And I don't know. It sounds really good. And I think Mike Brown has done just a terrific job of kind of like encouraging that. Like, I want to hear Fox and Sabonis talk. And Fox is the type of guy that in that year where they traded for Sabonis and whatnot, you're talking about him being dejected. Or those were the reports. I don't know. But ever since then, he's just been more and more vocal and whatnot and speaks in a way that people listen to. And it's like, even when he says these kind of like platitudes that you get on media day, it's like, yeah, okay, you hear that. You're going to hear that all the time, but it's coming from Fox. Yeah. And he says it in a way that is just, I don't have an example off the top of my head, but it's just, he says it in a way that you're like, oh, he's speaking for the team. Mm-hmm. And that's a collective kind of opinion. He's really kind of a representative of that. And I don't know. I mean, that might be the most exciting thing to see, because not only is that going to be what that does for Fox, but the guys around him. And as a unit, that's just going to... Because this is a team that you think about, like, I think, you talk about the defensive end or anything. It's like this team was a little bit better on the road. They did good when challenges were faced with them, when those challenges were there. And then when you're at home and maybe it's a game that's not super tough and whatnot, they kind of let things go. They give up 125, 30 points or whatever, and they don't look great. And it's like, it's there where Fox, where he's just, when he says something, that was me hitting my hand. When he said, that's not me insinuating Fox is going to hit people, but if he's going to do what he's going to do, it's just like, I feel like that crack of the whip. I mean, your coach can only do so much. And Mike Brown has said that a lot. At a certain point, a coach can only sit there and cross his legs and see if they can go out there and do the things that were taught to them. And Fox is the point on that. And I don't know. It's a lot of rambling there, but...
I mean, Fox, it was a big focal point, right? Going into last season, is Fox going to step up as the leader? And, we can have this debate for hours of who's the better player, Sabonis or Fox, but I think at the end of the day, it's Fox's team. He was here first. He's been here, and he seems loyal to the squad. It's his team. He's the clutch player of the year. And so it's just nice to see him actually step up. And if you want anyone, I guess driving the team, it's Fox. And to, be that guy to motivate them. It's Fox's job, and it sounds like he's doing that now.
They should take the dial pad off his jersey, and it should be a C. He should get a captain. He should get a captain.
He really should. I would love that.
That'd be so cool. Fox with the captain's badge.
First one since probably Tiny Archibald. Yeah. I don't know.
Do they even do season basketball ever?
I want to say someone just got one. I want to say someone just got a captain's badge.
That's cool.
I know. Same with like baseball with Jeter. He's the last one I can think of. Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's a good question. That's just. I mean, I wonder why they stopped. I mean, you assume some people are like very deserving of that.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously it shouldn't. It's not like football where you have to have like 6, but it's like every once in a while you should bestow that upon somebody.
Yeah, captain's badge NBA. Chris Paul had one in New Orleans.
That makes sense. And that's another kind of situation. That was his freaking team.
Yeah.
You know? He got that team, you know, challenging the Spurs in the playoffs and whatnot. And I don't know. I mean, like, it's just one of those things where it's just like Fox is just such a...
David West had a C on that team, too.
Really?
Yeah.
They were just handing out those C's. Okay, well, maybe 1. Keep it to 1.
No.
But I mean, maybe they don't want to give one to Fox because they feel like, what does that say about the Sabonis? All that
yeah,
stuff. Maybe it gives off a different optic
it
or something.
Does.
But yeah, I guess they don't have room for it with all the advertising that they do in this league.
I know. Dial pad. What is dial pad?
It's a good question.
But you know what? I do like the dial pad logo better than Blue Diamond Almonds.
That's just an eyesore.
It was.
It's too colorful.
As much as I like Blue Diamond.
I love almonds.
Yeah.
Great. My grandfather was an almond farmer up in Maxwell. It's one of those things, but it's like Blue Diamond? Get that out of here.
They just needed to redo their logo for like a jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it all white or something. It didn't look good.
Yeah. I feel like they do a good job of that, kind of keeping it.
The dial pad? I think the dial pad looks good.
And then like other ones too. I can't think of any team that has like an obnoxious colored one. That's like just not even their team colors.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think. I don't know. The Blue Diamond was just it was an eyesore. It's a good way to put it. It was awful.
It's like what they should have had. If they're going to have it be that color and be the logo and not, should have a little zipper on it. Like little almonds. It's like at the free throw line. Like, get some protein in me. It'd be kind of cool.
That's awesome.
But I think DialPod is like, it's like a web services thing or something like that. So it's not even like an actual like hard product.
No, I think it's like, I think I kind of do know what it is. It's almost like Skype in a way. Like you use it for work.
So like
communication.
Like Slack. You ever been on Slack?
No.
Neither have I.
All right.
You talk to people in the tech industry, and they're always like, "Yeah, I was on Slack, and somebody sent a picture of their." Never mind.
Sacramento.
The Sacramento Kings.
Comment here if you went to Slack State, as they call it.
Slack State.
Slack State.
Do they really call it that?
Yeah.
Stingers up, bro. We're slacking.
Stingers up. Sac State though, they got a good football team.
They're killing it.
They've had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know anything about it, but
they were good last year. They're good this year.
Yeah.
Haven't watched the game.
Didn't
their running back he transferred to Arizona?
Okay, moving on up.
Either Arizona or ASU, yeah. I think
cool.
It was Arizona.
Wasn't the coach before the coach that's there? I might cut this, but wasn't it Spurbeck?
Yeah. Spurbeck. And their coach last year, who had like a good season, he went to Stanford.
That's right.
And then Sac State beat Stanford like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was kind of fun.
That's wild.
It was pretty wild.
That is crazy. Stanford's going like, we should just move to Sacramento.
It's so funny. Stanford, I feel like in football, are either like hella good
or they suck.
Or they're just awful.
Yeah.
There's like no in between.
Yeah. That's
they're
true.
either like leading the Pac-12 or they're just at the bottom of the Pac-12.
Yeah, that's true. Which is probably, we did, who was that coach that was there forever?
I don't remember.
I don't know. This isn't a college football.
But no, we're going to keep it on college football. I have another point
go
about the Pac-12. I guess Arizona State breaks the stereotype. But you notice like all the state schools in the Pac-12 suck? Like it's never Washington State that's the better Washington school.
True.
Never Oregon State.
I mean, sometimes Washington State's better than Washington.
Really?
Yeah. Because Mike Leach coached Washington State.
Washington State
but
Huskies?
No, University of Washington Huskies. They're the Wildcats. Klay Thompson went there.
Yeah, he did.
And somebody else went there that's like a Northern California player, I think. Can't think.
Where did Markelle Fultz go?
I don't know. I have no idea.
He went to Washington.
Yeah, Washington is definitely regarded as the better program. No doubt it's the better school. But there have been times where Washington State's been pretty decent.
I feel like when ASU's usually better than Arizona, too.
In football?
Yeah.
I think
Sun
so.
Devils over
I think so.
No, it's the Arizona Wildcats. There are 2 Wildcats?
Yeah, there's a lot of Wildcats.
So Washington State Wildcats and the Arizona Wildcats?
Yeah, there's a couple other college teams. Like,
but in the same division?
Is Northwestern the Wildcats too?
Probably.
Or did like something. I don't know.
What's Oregon State Beavers?
That's kind of nice. That's creative.
Oregon Ducks.
Sac State Hornets.
Cal Stanford.
The Cal Bears.
Cal Bears.
The Stanford Cardinals.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
How come Cal gets to be called Cal and every other UC? Like, it's UCLA. It's not UCB.
That's a great question, and I've never looked into that, but that's a great point. University of California. They just call it University of California. They never say University of California, Berkeley.
Yeah.
University of California, fucking, Irvine or whatever.
I mean, Davis could technically be called Cal at that point.
Yeah, they could. What was if they just started doing that?
I just like why do they get the nickname Cal? I just don't get it.
We got a lot of petitions to put out there. We got to get Fox a C on his jersey.
Yeah.
We got to get Trey Lyles doing his book club partnership with Cap City Crown on Instagram, and we got to freaking figure out what the hell's going on with Cal. Yeah. Wow, that only killed 5 minutes.
All right, next player on media day.
Anything stand? You have somebody in mind?
No. Do you?
Well, we were talking about JaVale McGee, and this is since we're kind of coming off a lighthearted topic, let's keep it on a lighthearted topic. Who do you think's funnier, Malik Monk or JaVale McGee? They're very different, slightly different humor.
I mean,
Malik Monk today was a little funny though. Because
he was. And listen to the interview.
Or we can spoil it. Because everybody's talking about how much the Kings are a family and whatnot, and they were talking about like everybody's having kids and whatnot. Like, and they asked Monk about that. He's like, "Well, I got a dog, and she just turned 1, and she just had her first period." Like he said that. Yeah, it was so funny. It was hilarious. Cracked me up.
Yeah, I mean, he is funny.
McGee's got a coolness to him. They both do.
But we also know JaVale McGee and his Shaq in a full, legacy. I'm going to have to give it to Monk right now just because he's been here longer. But,
I think Monk is funnier.
Yeah. But I don't know. McGee, Jason Anderson did ask that question. Or I don't remember what he asked, but JaVale's like, yeah, what's the question there?
I feel like it's JaVale. Like, it's the same. That was almost the same way. Him being honest.
It was being honest.
It's similar to him being on the floor. He's like one of the funniest players in the league. He's not trying to be funny.
Yeah, it's unintentionally funny, but it's still funny.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So, you have a funny squad. Everyone likes a funny guy. So, we'll see.
Yeah. I was, hope Harrison Barnes is going to cry. Well, it was funny. We were watching the Harrison Barnes interview, and I'm like, there's just something about Harrison Barnes that feels like he's lacking in sense of humor. And then like 2 minutes into the interview, he's like, they asked him about Trey Lyles, who he's buddies with. He's like, well, I don't know, if we're friends. Like, he all of a sudden got hella funny. He's like, he didn't invite me to that book club. I'm like, okay, HB, prove me wrong.
HB signed a new contract. He's just a funny guy now.
He's like, this is probably my last big contract. I can just let it all hang out.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
All right, here we go.
But
HB40, baby.
HB40. My favorite band. There's a lot of talk about physicality on defense, and in terms of improving the defense, you got to improve the physicality. A lot of people are talking about how the defense looked good in the playoffs because they rose to the challenge of being physical. That was obviously a physical series. Screw with the DHO game for the Kings, but they stepped up in terms of physicality. And they're talking about how they have to play physical all the time. One of Mike Brown's central commandments is playing physical defense without fouling. That's the key to playing defense. Can it improve enough to make the team better? And if it can't, can the team get better with a better offense? The physicality question really remains to be seen.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That's a tough question to ask and answer.
That's what I leave them for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to set Tony up for a question that's probably impossible to answer. Because I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, if they are going to improve, the defense has to improve.
I mean,
the offense can get better. I mean, we're talking about Vezenkov, and clearly you're adding another guy that is going to be able to be thrusted in there to the DHO game, into the floor spacing game, and it's like him, Duarte. That's it in terms of adding shooting, but it's like that's better than Terrence Davis. You add some improvements from other guys around. Maybe De'Aaron Fox sees an improvement. Hopefully, Davion Mitchell sees an improvement. You got more spacing, more outside shooting, more options. The offense could get better, and it could improve the team feasibly. But it's just like they got to be better on defense. They're bottom third in defense last season.
Yeah, it is. You have to be.
And they clearly have it in them. They played stretches where they've been one of the best defenses in a certain span of games. You look at the road defense. They were one of the top 10 teams in road defense. And it's just like, it's there. How do you get it out of them?
Yeah.
And so hopefully that playoff series was enough to just kind of be like, oh, that's the standard procedure we have to bring.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean, bringing it back on another media day interview, let's just cut over to Mike Brown. And I mean, his main topic during his interview, it sounded like the enemy of great is good.
Yeah, he said it like 4 times.
He said it 4 times, but I mean, I think it answers your question very well. Because it's like, I mean, everyone in the NBA and the teams, most teams are on that good level. But it's like, to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's for the Kings. If they want to be great, they have to step up on defense every possession. I think a couple, I forget if it was Brown or just various players, but they're like, yeah, we have to bring it on defense.
Yeah, Mitchell said there were a couple of times where we took plays off.
It was Mitchell. He's like, plays or games or just whatever. It's like sometimes we were great, sometimes we just got lazy and we didn't step up until we needed to, and it was too late then. So it's like bringing that intensity, because they have it. They clearly have it in them. It's just, I mean, they can play good defense.
Yeah.
But do they have it in them to play that great defense on a consistent basis and not take plays off or, like, oh, shoot, now we're down 10 with 5 minutes left. Let's step it up now.
Yeah.
And it's too late.
Get your work done early, which is another one of the other principles on the defensive end for Mike Brown. And it's like, at the end of the day, Mike Brown and Jody Fernandez can only do so much scheming. They can only do so much, pointing things out to players. At the end of the day, as we said earlier, that Mike Brown's got a good philosophy on being a coach. There's only so much you can do with being a coach. And a lot of it comes down to them. And, they have the experience now that they know what it takes in terms of, I mean, you get work done early. You go hard from the beginning. You play it out all the way through. If they can put it all together, man, I mean, like, geez. I mean, if you do have one of the best offenses in the league again, it's just like you get a defense that home, away, doesn't matter, just on average is in the middle of the league. Like, damn. That's good. Because that's like, it's almost hard to actually come up with, in terms of offense, it's kind of hard to come up with a team that's going to be better than them. Yeah, the Suns are loaded with firepower, but let's see how that all works out.
Yeah.
They got more balanced with that whole Lillard trade, which is another thing I guess we could talk about. But at the end of the day, it's like the Kings, and people, that's another word that got brought up a lot, continuity. But they're going to be able to hit the ground running. It took them like 10 games to figure things out. Rotations, how things are done, like all this stuff, playing together. And I think it kind of, obviously that's going to help the offense be unleashed, but you have to look at that too defensively. They closed out the season. I mean, they played pretty decent defense in the playoffs. Can they carry that back on over? And it's like, I don't have any answers for this, but it's just like, it's on the players. And that's almost like why it's so important for Fox to be like such a leader.
Yeah.
Just really kind of bring that out of guys. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I kind of expect an improvement on defense. I think they're better.
I mean, McNair kind of spoke on it as well, their defense. And he's just like, we brought in a new defensive-minded head coach last year, and it was the first season and the only season with this new defensive scheme with him and Jordy.
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, that takes time to, like, everyone to get used to. So it's the second year with Fernandez and Brown, with most of the same, basically the same guys, the same starting lineup, and maybe not the same role players, but, several same role players. So he made it seem like, all right, like, there's going to be an improvement this year. Because I think it was almost McNair just being like, all right, like last year, defense wasn't great. New system, And, it's not like he's just making an excuse. That is a reason probably why the Kings weren't the best on defense, but it sounds like McNair is expecting big improvements this year.
And I think McNair should think that because 2 out of his 3 big pickups this season, off season, their impact. I mean, like, you can make an impact. Obviously, Vezenkov's going to be great on the offensive end. You can obviously say that Duarte can be a 2-way impact guy, but it's like Duarte and McGee, the way they're going to really impact the team, I feel like the most is on defense.
Yeah.
Versatility for Duarte, being kind of long, being able to play on the perimeter, played a couple of different positions. They're going to really try to bring that out of him. And then McGee's actually offering a shot blocking presence. And again, Mike Brown's not huge on shot blocking, but he's agile. He moves well. He does all these things that you kind of saw Alex Len do in a small sample size. And, I mean, you have to expect the defense to be better. If basically 2 out of your 3 big pickups this offseason are kind of defensive centric. And I know I'm not saying, Duarte's like a stopper or anything like that, but 2-way impact guy, we need more from defense. So, it's one of those things. And I don't know. I mean, where do you think this defense ends up going? I mean, like, do you think they'll be 14th, 15th, 16th? Do you think they'll be better than that? Do you think they'll be just outside of that? Do you think it'll be a repeat of last season? Do you think it'll be like them just jumping to the top of the league?
No, I mean, I think they'll be between 15 and 20.
That's fair.
Just like
I think that's actually probably the safest bet.
Yeah, I think they're going to improve. I don't think they're just going to become like a top 10 defense in the league, or maybe even in the top half of the league in defense. But I think they'll improve.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you can get around like 17, 18, it's like, and I mean, I really don't see their offense declining.
No, if anything, it's going to get better.
Yeah, so it's just like, I mean, defense is where it's at. So, I mean, if they can improve their defense by 8 spots, then, I mean, I could see them walking away with that third seed again, really. They can. They have it in them.
They could freaking, honestly, I mean, they could be the 2 seed. If something happens to Denver, why not the 1?
Yeah.
I mean, Denver's clearly the best team in the league. But, man, that dynamic offense. I mean, like, I can't wait for the Kings and Nuggets to play. Like, that's going to be really a hell of a sign. I don't know. I'm just excited for this Kings team. And Media Day, we're talking so much crap about Media Day, but I got to be honest, after watching all these interviews and talking and kind of considering things that you don't always consider because you're hearing from so many different voices, journalists and players included, and it's just like, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be fun last season. There just was something different. Mm-hmm. Clearly, the trade with Sabonis, they set him on a path where this is a team that has some form of an identity, some form of a direction. And now it's just like, everybody knows they're going up. They got to get there.
The difference between this year and last year was that last year, the goal and the expectation was to break that playoff drought. And we broke it. So now it's like, sky's the limit.
That's
now.
And what Fox said was like, well, now our goal is not just to win a playoff series and then lose. That's not the next goal. The goal is championship.
Yeah.
And Fox said it after the Warriors series, like this was a blessing and a curse to play the Warriors. And he kind of touched upon that again by saying like, we learned so much from that series. So much that, I mean, you would have learned anything in losing a playoff series, but to lose to a team that's done it before and that really brought every adjustment that they could possibly bring to screw with you guys. And they were pretty successful at it in various ways. And it's just like, yeah, the experience is there. The knowledge is there. So they're excited. We're excited. You're excited. And we ain't just talking about book club. I'm so psyched for book club. I want to join the book club.
Dude, I want to see what Trey Lyles is up to.
I'll be reading some like I don't know. I probably shouldn't say what I was about to say. But we're talking about like this team being deeper and whatnot. We're talking about an 7, 8, 9, 8, 9, 10 man rotation, 7, 8, 9 in the playoffs. Some guys are not going to play. Is there anybody? I don't want to like get into what the rotations are going to look like. Things are going to change throughout. But with the deeper team and whatnot, is there anybody that was entrenched in the rotation last season? Do you think might not necessarily lose a spot in the rotation, but lose significant minutes to other guys?
I mean, the only 2 that I can really think of, more like 1. I don't know. I mean, This is what I'm going to say. So Len into the season as the backup center. I think he might lose that with the addition of McGee and with Lyles's.
Yeah, moreover, that Vezenkov.
Lyles being a guy who can probably play the small ball 5 and very successful at playing the small ball 5. I don't think Lyles will really lose that many minutes.
No, Lyles is going to be on the floor no matter what.
Even with the addition of Sasha. And then, I don't even know if this counts, but I guess Kessler Edwards.
That counts.
Because, he kind of came in late with at the trade deadline, and he was, he didn't do too bad, and he got some minutes, but, with bringing in Duarte and even Colby Jones a little, and even, Jeremy Lamb might make the team, so he's a proven NBA vet, so I don't really see Edwards playing that much this year.
No, it'll be probably spot minutes if the defense is really bad.
I see him being like a Kaziak Paula as he was early last year.
And that's not a diss because we're not comparing.
No.
Obviously, Kessler Edwards is an NBA player. I'm not sure Kaziak Paula is. But a guy I always think about is just Davion. And I think just the addition, we're talking about Duarte being a two-way impact guy. If Duarte can spread the floor more and then bring it in, maybe he might have to play the best defense of his career, but it's like he's already a pretty sound defender. And he's versatile and he's longer than him. I can see Chris Duarte kind of like, especially, it's almost like Duarte would really have to like be putting him in a position where he's putting himself in the closing lineup, which may be taking minutes away from guys like Malik Monk or Kevin Huerter. But you think about the two-way impact, and we were talking about it last week, there's so much involved for Davion to be the guy that you want him to be. And obviously he's a weapon defensively, but if you can't space the floor, you have to score points too to win a game. So that two-way impact could really kind of balance things out. And I don't know. We're talking about how much it's important for Davion to hit shots. And I think with Duarte there, that just really underlines that even more.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that, but
and the kind of foregoing of a backup point guard, and the fact that Duarte is kind of up there with Malik Monk in the sense that these guys can handle the ball, they can create for other people. So
that's true.
And Mitchell might be, he's the point guard out of those three, and you might be able to make the argument that he's the worst facilitator out of the three. I think we've seen signs from him that he can be a pretty good facilitator, but a lot of that does come from shooting. Does that unlock your game, your ability to drive to the hoop, kick it out, kick it to this guy, dump it off? A lot of it just comes down to shooting, and Duarte's obviously got a baseline there that's better than Mitchell. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
That is a good point.
I kind of wrote that in that article about the best case scenario and worst case scenario for Duarte. That is not a best case or worst case scenario. That's kind of a very reasonable reality. Mm-hmm. That he could be taking minutes from Davion Mitchell.
Yeah.
So, come on, Davion. Get involved in the book club. Center your mind.
Davion, man, I don't know. I feel like out of all the mixtapes I've seen this offseason, seems like he's putting in the most work. He's really trying to improve his game. He's out there daily trying to better himself. So he's really putting himself out there. I love Davion. I love his work ethic. I think that's why he was drafted, because of that work ethic. Yeah. He was a great defender. But it can only get you so far.
True. True. One of the things that was interesting about Davion's interview is the demeanor that he was talking with felt a little bit looser. He felt a little more vibrant and a little less constrained. And
yeah.
I know he's I was asking him he wasn't tatted up last year, and he's all tatted up and shit. Hopefully he's coming at it with a new sense of confidence. He's been very forthcoming about his weaknesses being exposed in that series. He knows it better than anybody. He's in danger of losing minutes, but I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back with a resounding answer and has the best season of his career. I hope he has the best season of his career. You want to keep building upon things. Mm-hmm. So you're in danger, Davion, but you're even putting yourself to be in the position. If you start shooting again, it's if you just shoot 35%, be enough of a threat, you could be in the closing lineup every night.
Yeah.
With that defense.
Defender. Yeah.
Goodness.
He's definitely a wild card going into this season. Is he going to improve, or is he just going to be just all defense? And, it's all about shooting for him. And it's either going to unlock his game or just keep him a Bible type of player.
Yeah.
A great defender, but
exactly.
It's hard to play you when you're only, you don't really have much on offense other than,
True.
a 30% 3-point shot.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to kind of see. What else we got here? I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And then you can answer this. It can be a stat. It can be a player. It could be a dynamic to the team. What's the strength of this team? What do you like about it the best? What do you think is kind of like a thing about it specifically? Like, I don't want you to say their offense, but like something specific. And it doesn't have to be, again, a thing on the floor. What's specific about them that makes them stand out?
To me, honestly, it's the locker room. I think they have a good camaraderie on this team. I just think, and even going into last season with new players and Herter and Sabonis kind of being new, yeah, he was there at the end of last season, but I just think they have a really good locker room. I don't think there's like a cancer in that locker room. I feel like they all want to be there. The beam, I feel like, was as stupid as the beam kind of is in its way. I mean, I love it, so don't dog on me, but it's just like, they're like, we're the beam team. We're lighting the beam. We broke this playoff drought. I feel like their core group of guys. I mean, I think they have good chemistry. I guess that's the word, chemistry.
Good identity, all in on it's the same goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would go with the same thing because it's like you talk about the team running it back, as everybody says, the continuity. And that means so much in terms of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, too, it facilitates what I think is the greatest strength, which is the accountability. There's a widespread accountability to this team. They always talk about it like, well, the prime example of it is Mike Brown calling out Keegan Murray midseason for getting 0 rebounds. And he always uses the phrase, I'm in there cussing him out. And De'Aaron Fox used that same phrase today. He's, coach is cussing us out. Hey, but it doesn't hurt anybody. Everybody wants that constructive criticism. There's accountability. They want that goal. I agree. I think this is a strong locker room. I think, obviously it's not like a team, again, like the Nuggets that have won a championship together, but it's like, man, it's good feelings coming from this team. And it's like, in terms of the constructive criticism thing, like you saw so many arguments on the bench at the end of, not from the Kings, but from other teams at the end of the season in the playoffs. These teams just hating each other, not the teams, but people on the team, like not taking criticism from people, not really being all in on the goal, clearly, if you're going to be taking things personally. And it's just like, I could never imagine that ever happening with this Kings team. It'd have to be years down the line. You'd have to thrust in there some kind of a personality that's not good. And, yeah, I don't know.
And give credit to McNair for that. He drafts very well.
Yeah.
And he only signs high quality guys.
True.
I think that's a big reason he wanted Barnes back.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of other small forwards at that time, but he just fit that locker room very well. And probably same with going after Sabonis. Yeah. There was a lot of guys that he could have gone after in that trade deadline. Julius Randle was a name. There's a couple other names I can't think of, but I mean, I didn't really know about Sabonis' personality, but bringing him in now, it's like, just seems like a nice guy.
Yeah,
like
he's hosting people at his house.
Yeah. So, credit to McNair on that. He's building a very high quality team of high quality men. Yeah,
they all want the same thing. It's just fantastic. I mean, like again, it's like you see it embodied in so many different guys. You see it in Herter, you see it in Sabonis, you see it in Fox, you see it in Trey Lyles.
Yeah.
You see it in all these guys, and yeah, that might be one of the biggest joys about this team. The human connection.
Yeah.
It's nice. They don't take things personally. They all... No need to beat the dead horse here. That's definitely, I think, one of the strengths of this team, and it's just like what they do on offense, the improvements they make on defense, that'll really thrust them forward. It'd be fantastic to see what happens there. Mm-hmm. But we are headed towards NBA action. Preseason action. But it's here. It's Saturday. Up in Vancouver against the Raptors. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything in mind that you'd like to see in that game? I just exited it out of the freaking list that I had.
Oh, let's see where it is. Man, off the top of my head, not really. I guess I'm just more excited to see this team back in action. I think the game will bring more questions for me to bring next time we talk. But true. I'm excited to see Vezenkov. Or Vezenkov.
Say it 3 times.
Vezenkov. Excited to see how he actually fits on an NBA floor.
Yeah.
And I think I'm excited to see, I mean, the new guys, of course, like McGee and Duarte. But again, a guy we touched on is Davion Mitchell. How does that shot look? Does his shot look different? He's been working with Steph Curry's shooting coach and Steph Curry a little. Like, how much is this actually going to like change this guy's shot? Because as we said, like 5 minutes ago, a lot depends on how this guy shoots the rock.
Yeah. And that'd be a great opportunity to see. In terms of Vezenkov, it's like, Mike Brown said it. It's like, yeah, I like the team on paper. It'd be interesting to see what happens when the lights come on. And that's really the big thing. You hear that from a lot of coaches throughout sports. And it'd be interesting to see what happens there for Vezenkov, both defensively and offensively. The Duarte role, how's he going to be utilized? I mean, that's the thing. It's like Duarte, in a similar way to Trey Lyles, is just kind of like, doesn't matter if someone in this position is doing well. Like, well, he can squeeze over here. Oh, and then something's happened over here. It's squeezed back over here. There's such a versatility there. So I don't even know if that'll be like a solid answer in terms of Duarte's role. That'll probably be ever changing. Mm-hmm. Might settle down once the season starts. But then there's obviously Murray kind of putting the ball on the floor, playing more of a kind of a playing more at the three, being able to create for himself and others and whatnot. I mean, that's got to be another one that's very interesting. And then obviously seeing guys that are a little more periphery, Kessler Edwards, Colby Jones, things like that, see what they can do. See what the center splits are like between like Len and McGee and whatnot. It'd be interesting to kind of get a viewpoint of, I mean, they're all going to be asked the same things. I mean, another thing about McGee that's interesting is McGee likes the fact that in this offense, he's going to touch the ball. He said for a big man, especially not a scoring-centric big man, just touching the ball, just getting the ball in your hands for a second is like exciting.
So he gets him energized.
And it's one of those things too where it's like, well, can McGee show something in terms of being able to, like you saw in Summer League, it's like they wanted, Keita, you got to carry the ball up at the top of the, whatchamacallit, read the freaking play and then make the pass. He didn't really do that all that well. I'd be interested to know, because I don't really know if you saw that so much from Len. It was more pick and roll, kind of like a little bit DHO role kind of thing. Be interesting to see if McGee can bring some kind of a passing element.
Yeah, it's a good question.
You know, because he's seen so much. He's the oldest player on the team, and he's got a demeanor about him. And he's clearly got an excitement about being able to play in this offense, being able to touch the ball more. I think that'll be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, I think so too. He did bring that up. I'm like, is he going to pass the ball a little? So, like you said, I mean, he's the oldest guy on the team, been around the league for a minute.
Yeah.
He can read a defense. I mean, if anyone can, maybe not him, probably Sabonis, but he's up there on the list. So, interested to see how they use their centers.
Yeah.
Especially a guy like McGee, where he's like, not a stretch, where you had Metu out there, and he didn't shoot a lot of threes, but yeah, I don't feel like that's the reason I didn't like Metu. It's like, what's he doing out there?
That was so weird.
Just like an undersized center who's not going to shoot.
It was weird because it's like, I always read the joke, it's a Mezzi Mamba, because he has that like mentality where he just wants to put up shots. And at the end of that season, prior to last, it's like he ended the season, I think, shooting like 38% from three in the last like 10, 15 games. And it was like, oh man, that could be a real key. And then when you find out, it's like, oh, he played the majority of games as a backup five, but didn't shoot at all. In fact, he was hesitant to shoot.
Yeah.
That was so weird.
It was weird.
He was all screwed up, unfortunately, at that point.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see how they actually use the centers this year.
Yeah. Actual size.
Yeah.
Actual size.
2 7-footers for their backups.
Acceptance of their role. Comfort with the situation. Yeah. They both want to be here. McGee wanted to come be with Brown. Len probably had other options, but he wanted to be back. Kings wanted him back. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, we don't get our training camp competition at center, but there's still intrigue there.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And it's
Len is. We're talking a lot of talk on McGee, but I mean, Len ended the season very well. So good. And I mean, he's been here longer, so I mean, you could see him just still taking those minutes.
Len blew me away because he came out and like I was making so many assumptions about him because he's not playing. It's like, oh. And there were a couple of moments out there early in the season where he got some time or here and there where it's just like, he doesn't really move all well. He doesn't really have like a good instinct as to where to go. He kind of looks lost out there at times. Yeah. And then he came out there and he moved better than I ever remembered him moving. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Seems like they're pretty, even regardless if they scrapped a competition that included Neemias Queta. Not really an NBA player in my mind.
No, that's really.
It's almost just like, yeah, it's still a lot to work with. There's still a lot of good, but I'm excited. Basketball will be back. Get basketball back up in Vancouver, BC.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
It's gonna be fun, and then about 3 weeks later, it's the first game on the 25th.
Yeah, it's freaking here, man.
It's approaching rapidly.
It's freaking here. We're about there. Let's check the timestamp on the podcast. Okay, we're about there. I think this is a good way to close.
I think so too.
We don't need to beat the hell out of this thing. Media day, if you're gonna watch some interviews, listen to Monk's and JaVale McGee's, maybe Vezenkov, Fox. Those are some good ones to watch.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But it was definitely the whole media day vibe is just like, let's get this over with. Let's get to basketball.
Let's get to training camp. Let's get to preseason. So
yeah.
And it's coming up quick, so.
Yeah. But good stuff.
Good stuff. I mean, that's all we got today. I want to thank you, as always, for tuning in. And until next time, have a good one.